This is live. This is live, right? This is the first time I've used Google Hangouts, so I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing here. It's kind of like making it up as I go along. Okay, right. So, can I screen share? Let's see. YouTube. Screen share. This is live, right? It's the first time I've used Google Hangouts, so I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing here. It's kind of like making it up as I go along. Okay. Presenter. Right. So, can I screen share? Let's see. YouTube. Screen share. Oh, right. It's the first time I've used Google Hangouts, so I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing here. It's kind of like making it as I go along. Okay. Presenter. Right. So, can I stop screen sharing? Right. Okie dokie. So let's add some people. Chat. Q&A. Why is it disabled? Draw each other inside the Hangouts. Wait. Okay. Hmm. I do want this draw feature on now. Yeah. Right. Group chat. How do I add people? Cameraman. Control room. Q&A. Ah, there we go. Invite people. Right. Someone has joined the conversation. I'm not sure if it's worked. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Is it working? Cycling, are you there? Can you hear me? We are live, so I believe. And we've still got Skype on as well. Okay. Okie dokie. Right, let me just shut these so we've got better lighting. Just bear with me 1 second. Right. Hello, 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 hello. Right. Can you see me? Sweet. Can you hear me? Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Let's just get everybody else onto this thing. You have to excuse me, I'm new to this Google Hangout thing. So, right. Cycling, you can hear me. Let's see who else we can get over from Skype. Okay. Shaylin, are you there? Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yep.
Excellent. Right, that's cool. That's cool. So we've got two people who can hear me, see me. Right, and we've got the little chat box here. Da, 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 da. Okay. I think what I'm going to need to do is change over that Skype name to this new Google Hangout so people stop adding me on Skype and so everyone comes here, hopefully. Right. Someone's trying to ring me. Hold on, hold on. Right, bear me one sec. Let me just go to the. Oh wait, let me just get this guy on this. Right, okay. So we've got. How come there's only two people? It says 6 viewers, but there's can only see 2 names. Okay. Let me just go over to the GTG channel and then let me just put this link so that everyone else can join.
Yep.
All right. Guys, it's.
Oh, no. Right.
Go here instead to join our live Q&A. Right. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Right. Cool. What I don't understand is it says we've got 8 viewers, but yet there's only 2 people. Let me just enter a chat message. Hello. How many people are here? Oh, okay. Maybe. Okay. All right. What else can we do to? I don't understand why all these people haven't come over. We've got this 5. All right, this will work. This is basically just a test for the big webinar in 2 weeks, right? So we've got. Oh, someone else has come on. Someone else has come on. Hello, hello, Jacko Olarinen, if I spelled that right. Okay, so that's 3 of us, and I think we can all talk as well. But hey, what we'll do is right. Well, whatever you want. Someone ask me a question, and then and that's someone else's phone going off. Okay, cool. Right, we need some kind of hand system here so that people can get the questions in first. So right, someone ask a question in the chat box, and then the first one to know what type of questions to do with growing taller. And then we'll just this is just a quick test. I just want to do just a quick test so that because it's recording now as well, so I want to see how that works. So it's just a test, but I may as well answer some questions while I'm here. So if anyone wants to ask a question, put it in the side box. Okay, cool. Okay, so cycling Corv, said that right. I'm 17 years old, 165 centimeters tall. How can I grow taller? I'm not familiar with any of this stuff. Okay, cool. So cycling, I'm not sure how you got to my YouTube channel, or not sure how long you've been doing this for. If you're very new to it, then I'm guessing that you've sort of gone onto YouTube or gone onto Google and perhaps looked at the first solution, so what can you do in order to grow taller? And it's quite a big topic. There's not just any one way which can help you. So 165 centimeters, that is, what is that in feet and inches? Let me just do my calculator. Bear with me. Right, so 165, you are pretty much almost 5'5" ish, 5'4.96" it says on my convert here. Can't even see it because it's too bright.
But yeah, 4.96. Sorry, 5.496. So almost 5.5. What height do you want to get to, by the way? Cycling. Just put it in the box. 175. Okay, so another 10 centimeters, which would get you to 175. So you want to be about 5'9". That's going to be your ideal height, right? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. So, if you don't mind me asking, what have you done so far? If you really just got into this, what have you been doing, or how have you started so far? Have you actually done any diet changes, exercise changes, or anything at all? Stretching every now and then. Okay. Diet not too much. Sure. Okay. Yeah. So you're eating a lot of fish. Fair enough. Yeah. So basically, what you need is like a structured workout regime, because if you just have, if you're eating chicken, just sporadically or randomly, you can't really measure that. See, what you need to do, what I would recommend at the moment, cycling, is to actually get down a routine where you're doing something consistently for the next 2 to 3 months. So you need to start making sure that you are exercising, making sure that you're stretching, making sure. Do you know what actually would probably be helpful for you, to be honest? Probably would be helpful, is to actually just go through your normal day, write down what you're eating, and make sure you get everything as well, even the bad stuff. Write down what you're eating. Write down what stretching regime you're doing, even if you're only doing it once every 3 days. Maybe just do a week's work. I mean, you could probably do it now if you can remember that far back. But get a diary, right? Write in, everything that you're doing, and then you can work from there. Obviously, if I could see what you're doing now, I'd be able to help you to the next step, because I'm not 100% sure what you're eating now. It's hard to say, but yeah, in general, yes, you should be having more protein. Fish is good, chicken's good, eggs are good. How much milk are you getting? How much water are you getting? It's not just you don't just eat. I love eggs, he says. I love eggs. Yes, well, good, because the eggs are really good because they've got all of the amino acids in that you need. So, yeah, what I would need you to do, but this is probably a good thing. It's a good thing that you've actually asked me this now, because in 2 weeks' time, when we do the next webinar, maybe you'll be able to come to me and say, look, basically, Lance, at the moment, I'm eating 4 meals a day. These are the 4 meals, generally speaking. So, in the morning, I might have porridge with protein. I'm guessing you probably don't have that yet, but I have porridge in the morning. I have a snack before lunch. I have my lunch, and I have my evening meal, and then I'll have a snack after that, or whatever. So you just need to tell me, yeah, fruit is a snack, yeah, fruit is a snack. So you just need to tell me what you're having right now, and then I'll be able to sort of tell you where to go next, because obviously if you're just starting, that's the thing with this webinar, there's probably going to be people of all levels. There's people who've probably been, trying to grow tall for the past 2 or 3 years, who have probably done a lot of stuff that I've already covered, and there's people like yourself who are quite new to it. So, yeah, if you could get some kind of log together, like a diary, and let me know what exercise you're doing, what you're eating, also how much sleep you're getting, Just basic things like that. Just basically, what do you do week to week? What do you eat week to week? And then I can give you some advice on what to do next. Okay? Okay, next question. Okay. Hey, I'm 19, roughly 5'5" to 5'6". I want to be 5'8". I haven't done much exercise and haven't started eating well yet. Just serious at the moment. Haha. Will it ever be possible that I could be 5'8/9"? Another 5'9"er. Someone else who wants to be 5'9". Sorry for the name. Haha. Yeah, your name does look hard to pronounce actually. Ikigo Kurosaki? Maybe? Ikigo, yeah, okay. So, yeah, similar situation really. It's from some cartoon. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, similar to cycling, you know, if you don't know what exercise you're doing, you know, I don't know, you know, you're gonna find it impossible to try and tell someone like me what you're doing. So you need to make a log of everything that you're eating, everything that you're doing currently, so that we can see, you know, where to go next. You know, there might be people out there who currently have a pretty good exercise regime. You know, I don't know. I don't know. So you need to. I mean, have you done a log? Have you done a log of what you've been eating and what exercise you've been doing? Because it says here, I haven't done much exercise, so I assume that you've done a little bit of exercise. If you're still there. Not yet, I haven't. Okay. Tend to do some running. Okay. How often do you do the running? 4 times a week. See, that's quite a regular schedule, to be honest. You know, at first I thought when you said you didn't exercise much, I was thinking like once a week. But if you're doing it consistently 4 times a week, that's good. But like I say, similar to cycling, you need to make a note of everything that you do. So regardless of how small you might think it may be, you know, even if you just do 3 stretches, 3 basic stretches after you run, you know, write it down. Make sure you write everything down because it's always really useful to look back on, and especially when you have a goal in mind, it's good to see like how perhaps little you did to how much you'll end up doing, you know, in the future to grow taller. And it's good to gauge as well. It's really good to gauge things. So yeah. So same with you, Ikigo. If you could like make a log, even just a week's worth. So you know what you do on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Just make a note, you know, and then when you come back to us for the full webinar, if you could have just those details ready, and I can tell you the next steps to take in order to grow, you know. So actually, let me just think about this. You do need to do that, but I'm just thinking if a lot of people are going to be doing this, then what you need to write down is how often you're exercising. So let's say on your weekly diary, what days you're exercising on, for what period of time you're exercising, what exercise you're doing, and so if you're running as well, what kind of running are you doing? You know, is it speed interval runs, or is it sprints? And then on the diet, if you could just make a log of how much. No, we won't get too complex on the diet. We won't get too complex. Just tell me basically what you're eating on a day-to-day basis. So, you know, in the morning, midday, afternoon, snacks. Just tell me roughly what you're eating. Then I was going to ask what kind of protein content you were having, but I think that's something to come a bit later on, to be honest, because I think if you're just starting out, it might overwhelm you a little bit if you're looking at your carbohydrates, your fats, and your protein. So, okay, cool. So Ikigo, not to cut you short, but if you could do the same thing as cycling and just make a weekly log of what you're eating, what you're doing, what exercise you're doing, what stretches you're doing, just roughly, just so I can see, right, week to week, Ikigo is doing this, where does it go next? Okay? Next question. This will be the last question just while we do this test, and then I shall... Do you know what I might do? I might actually put this video online, hopefully, if it works, because it's actually broadcasting now. I think Shaylin has been here for a while. He's actually been on Voice. So if you want to ask a question, Shaylin, I know that you did join here before some other people. Or if you want to just type your question into the chat box.
Yeah, how much does genetics actually matter?
Yeah, it's funny that on some videos, I was watching a video yesterday actually, and somebody said 75% genetics, 25% other factors, and then I've seen other videos where people say, oh no, it's 60% genetic, 40% other factors, and then I've seen another video where it's 50-50, and I think the trouble is that no one can actually say a certain percentage because it's really hard to prove it. So there's definitely it's definitely not all just genetic, which is a good thing, you know. Percentages wise, it's anywhere from 50%, you know, down to 25%, you know. But don't let that affect, you know, don't let that affect you at all, you know. Don't think, oh, you know, there's only 25% chance, that means I'm not going to do it, you know. I'd still think that you should persist with your goals, you know. I hope that answers the question. Shailene, are you still there?
Yeah. So,
okay.
okay, so aside from doing stretches, what else can increase HGH?
Well, where are you with your Grow Taller program? Are you just starting, or have you been doing stretches for a while, or?
I've been doing it for a while, but it's like, okay, I grew a bit, but then I like slowed down, and then I like grew a bit, and then I slowed down. It's like some days it's a big change, and then some days it's like no change. So it's
Yeah.
like very, is that normal?
Yeah. So like you're sort of like you're sort of growing, and then you hit a plateau, and then you grow, and then you hit a plateau. I suppose the advantage is, have you sort of documented how big these growths were? You know, in between each time it stopped. Did you write down how much you grew? Did you find out how much you grew, or did you just know that you grew?
I did a bit. Like I have my original and what I am currently, and it's about 13 centimeters increase.
Wow, wow, nice, 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 nice.
So does that mean I reached my peak, or is it more, or
Well, what time frame was this over? So when did you first notice that you starting to
so
grow?
like so like over a year?
Over a year, right?
Yeah.
So you first noticed about a year ago, and when was the last time you noticed that you were still growing?
Oh no, so I tried your program thing. So I started like a year ago, and
Yeah.
then I measured yesterday, and I've noticed that I grew like 13 centimeters from the time
Oh,
starting.
like from a year ago.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's cool, that's cool. So how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
20.
20. Cool, 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 cool. All right. And you feel
They
as though it's hit a bit of a plateau at the moment, as though you're
Yeah.
not growing as much anymore. Okay.
Yeah. And
Um,
I'm really unsure because usually they say like when you're 21, that's when you like fully stop growing. So how does that work? Because that's what they taught us in like sports science.
yeah. Well, the thing is, it's like I mean, your body doesn't listen to like the human calendar. You know, the human calendar was created by us, not by our bodies. So, you know, how does your body know when you're 21, and does that apply to everyone? I don't believe so. No, I don't believe that. You know, so there's some kind of time bomb in your body, and suddenly it says, right, you're 21. You know, what if you were 21? I don't know, a month before someone else who was 21, and then I just don't think it works that way. I think people just say 21 as like a general age. But like I say, I still don't believe that that is the cut-off period, because I've had clients grow from a big increase. I think for me personally, I always found that it stopped about 30. You know, you could still increase a little bit after 30, but you know, if you wanted a really big growth spurt, then you've got to be under 30. You really have. So yeah, I think you're fine. You'll be fine, man. I think it's just you will have peaks and troughs. I mean, some people will have like a really big growth spurt, stop for a while, and then another really big growth spurt. Some people will have a small growth spurt, stop, small growth spurt, stop, small growth spurt, stop. You know, it's just making sure that you've got everything that you need. You know, that is gonna enable your body to accept that next growth. You know, that next spurt. So, when was the last time you actually noticed? So you grow 13 centimeters in a year,
Yep.
right? And when was the last time that you noticed that?
A plateau.
Yeah.
So it's like every monthish to like 2 weeks.
So last month you noticed that it's kind of like, hold on a minute. you
Yeah.
know,
So it was
not
like
working here.
170. Then it'll be like 171. Then it'll be 170, 171,
Yeah.
sort of thing. Yep.
Okay. So you noticed about a month ago, which to be fair, isn't a long period of time at all. So I wouldn't let that hold you back. But like you say, you want to be making sure that you do take that growth spurt to the max. Because it sounds like obviously you're in growth at the moment. You've been growing over the past year. So what can you do now to make sure that it doesn't stop where it is? You say 171, you were?
Yep.
171.
Currently.
So you want to try and expand that growth spurt so that it carries on, you know, making you grow. So okay, right. This question is going to be a bit more in depth than I thought, but we will do it because this is the last question. So, right, okay. So what are you doing? What's your like weekly log? What are you doing? You know, day to day.
Usually just, I don't know, like a normal day, and then followed by going to the gym,
Yeah,
and yeah, trying to have 6 meals a day.
6 meals a day. Okay.
Yeah, and that's about it. I was also wondering, you know, when you go to the gym, like when you're building muscle, isn't your muscle like contracting, which is causing your bones to get like to stay at a stable height instead of increasing?
Good question. Good question. It depends because the actual
Like, do you get what I mean? Because like, let's say for example, you're doing squats and it's a really heavy weight. You're compressing your spine, so how would wouldn't that just like stop all your like stretches and stuff like that in a
true.
way?
True. Yeah, definitely. If you're getting very heavy on squats, but on the flip side of things, when you do squats, it releases a lot of growth hormone. So it's like, you know, catch 22. And it's a tough one, really. It's a tough one because I did feel like I did an email series on this before where I felt personally as though when people were going like really heavy on squats or really heavy on deadlifts or even shrugs to a certain extent, shrugs like yeah, definitely if you're getting it kind of like pulling your body down back towards the ground. So I felt like it was making people not necessarily shrink, but it wasn't enabling them to grow. Whereas like something like pull-ups, anything that lets the body, you know, sort of stretch to its maximum, does give that space for the bones and allows them to decompress. So yeah, it's one of them. It's very tough. Are you a heavy squatter yourself? Do you do a lot of squats?
Just because of that reason. So I just do like medium, like I don't push it too far, just
Yeah.
because of that reason.
Yeah,
And
yeah, no, you do.
and
That's right. That's right. That's what I do. I don't go. I never
yeah,
have
and
stupidly.
and staying away from deadlifts because I've heard those ones are like the worst.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, even I don't know if you follow the Harry and James video series, but we used to post videos of when we were doing the workouts, and when Harry and James were doing the deadlifts and they were squatting, it was only a very lightweight, even though they were new to it, it was really light, and we would just go primarily just for rep and just to try and work the muscle as opposed to just go for strength. Um, but it's always been one of those questions where I've had people who have squatted really heavy and still seen results, and I've had people who haven't squatted heavy and seen results. So it's quite hard because it's like I've got one set of clients telling me one thing and one set of clients telling me the other, so it's quite difficult to kind of answer that question, to be honest. But I agree with you. I think if you're going light on squats or just medium, and you can still do, I do believe with squats, if you can't do 8 reps with the weight that you're doing, that you should lower the weight a little bit, because I think if you do want to go taller, then squatting less than 8 reps is not good. Is not good. Like you say, for decompression, definitely.
And
So,
one
yeah.
more question. When you're doing stretches, if you overstretch, you could tear your muscles. So wouldn't that just stop the process as well? Like, let's say, for example, you hang from a bar and then you start feeling pain or something. Like, like sort of like your muscle, like you're stretching it too much.
I,
Then,
I
yeah.
haven't ever had anyone say that they've pulled a muscle whilst hanging. Have you done that yourself?
Like when you're doing pull-ups, right? And you're doing weighted pull-ups, it's sort of like, do you get what I mean? Like one muscle is pulling it up and the other weight is pulling you down.
Um, yeah, I guess. I mean, obviously, when you do any kind of uh, distance training, the idea is that you are tearing the fibers of the muscle so that it builds back stronger. Is that what you
Yeah.
mean, where you get the burn, or you mean like an actual injury?
Sort of like the burn, but like I'm just saying, like when you do the stretches, like how much resistance are you meant to push, you know what I mean? Like
Mm,
hanging from a bar, like are you just meant to hang with your free weight, or are you meant to put additional weight to
right,
encourage it in a way? Do
right.
you get what I
Well,
mean?
yeah. So with Michael, if you do remember the videos you did with Michael, he used to have some ankle weights that he used to add because he found it a little bit too easy. He felt like he could just hang there all day long. But then again, you could just go for. It depends whether you want to go for time or whether you want to go for the weight. So it's a little bit like resistance training. Do you go for like a medium weight that you can do for so many reps, or do you go for something lighter that you can just keep banging reps out? Same with that one, really. That's quite a difficult question because I think I would say if you can hang longer, that's probably going to be more beneficial rather than if you have a weight. I think. I think definitely because you're allowing your spine, you're allowing all your body to decompress, and I suppose if you did have a weight, it would pull you further. But it's the same
But say
difficult question.
saying that,
Same kind of argument. Same kind of argument.
yeah.
Like I have got people who do both and have seen results. So maybe that's something that you could test yourself. Maybe you could try at the moment that you've hit a plateau. Maybe try the opposite. So if you are using a weighted hang at the moment, maybe try an unweighted hang, and maybe try and have a look to see if you can do it for longer, and then see if that makes a difference.
Yep,
Sometimes you just
but
have to test your own body. Sometimes it's just about testing your own body and seeing what works best for you.
So in that case, would you say muscle ups would be better because you're sort of like, stressing the body to like, to stretch more when you're coming down and you're going up at the same time? Do you know what I mean?
Muscle ups, wow. You must be strong if you can do that. I've never actually tried to do one of them, I've never tried because they've always looked so demanding on the shoulder muscle. I don't know. Do you do them now?
Yeah, I can do like 30.
13.
So
Wow.
yeah, because I just thought those ones would be better because you're stretching like pretty much all your muscles, the main ones for your torso.
Yeah.
So wouldn't that be like the best, even just swinging from a bar, because you're sort of stretching all your muscles at the same time instead of just, like just your lats.
Yeah, yeah, I suppose so. I mean, how do you do yours? Do you flip yourself up onto the bar, push onto the bar,
And then push all the way from the top, yeah. And then down again, and then up, up.
and then down again? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Can I ask you a question? When did you start doing them?
Um, just like last year when I started like noticing growth.
Right.
I just started by swinging first, and then
Yeah.
slowly like used my muscles more.
Okay. Well, I definitely think you wouldn't take that out of your routine. If you've grown by doing them, then there's no harm in keeping them in there. I think that's fine. What your question was, you think it's better to do hangs rather than do them, is it right?
No, no, no. I said, wouldn't it be better to do muscle ups instead of just hanging because you're stretching more of your muscles at the same time? Do
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean? So sort of like
Yeah,
when you're skipping,
yeah,
you know how you're like jumping and you're getting that minor jumps, and that's what's encouraging the growth. In a
yeah.
way, wouldn't it be better to just do muscle ups instead of just doing pull ups? Do you know what I mean? In a way.
It's to be honest, yeah, it's something I've not. It's something I've completely not even considered. I've not even thought about muscle ups to be honest. I think probably because my own experience from them. There was a guy in a gym I used to go to called Ricky, and he dislocated his shoulder by doing them, and it put him out for like I think it was 3 months, 3 to 4 months, and I think from seeing him, and he was kind of telling everyone in the gym, don't do them, don't do them. It's not worth it unless um, you really, really, you want to do them. I've never really incorporated that into anything, especially with my different customers. Obviously, I have clients who are quite overweight, and also clients who are very skinny, and yeah, I think it's good. It's really good that you can do that. And I think you are right. I think perhaps they could be more beneficial than hanging. It's just that I just don't personally teach it because I just it's just a lot of. I mean, how much do you weigh?
About 75.
75
That's kilograms, not pounds.
kilograms. Yeah, yeah. You see, when I was at my leanest, I was about 85, I think. Um, yeah, and even then, I don't think I would have considered. I think just like I say, it's just my own personal preference from seeing the horror story of someone else really damaging the shoulder ligament and being out for so long. I just thought, God, that exercise really isn't worth it. But if you've been doing them and if you've seen results, which you have, then yeah, I'd carry on doing them. I'd carry on doing what rather than hanging. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't see. Like you say, it's the same. You're in the same kind of position, but you kind of like you're doing more. You are swinging, coming up, and then your full body weight's coming down. So, did you want to do them instead of hanging? Is that what you meant?
No, I was just wondering, which one is more beneficial? Do you know what I
Uh,
mean?
well, I can't really answer that question because like I say, I don't teach it, and I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. So sorry about that. Like I say, it's just been one of those exercises that I've always thought, oh, remember what happened to Ricky, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but there are a lot of people who do them, and it's perhaps something It's something I might look at in the future, to be honest, because
Yeah, and also with abs, right? Because if you train them, you're training the muscle. So isn't that just keeping your torso just like in one place? It's not ex like elongating. Do you know what I mean? With the
hmm,
abs as well, because it's contracting and
yeah,
it's staying in one place because it's developing, and you're getting like a six pack or an eight pack if you're like tall enough. So saying that, that's not gonna help you grow taller, right? Or wrong? Because if you stretch that, then and you like tear your abs, then it takes
yeah.
ages to recover.
I'll tell you what is strange though. Have you noticed when you do them muscle ups that it has an effect on your abs? Because you know, you do a pull up. I always find that you can feel it in your core, like in your torso.
Yep.
Um, same with hanging. I feel like you do feel it in your core, which is
Yep. It's even if you like do like incline bench or whatever, you still feel it because it has to stabilize.
yeah, stabilizing muscles. Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah.
But I
So
was just
yeah, I mean,
wondering that.
me personally, in fact, I don't think on any of the Go Taller Pyramid Secret we actually teach about doing ab exercises. I just feel like ab exercises are, how can I explain? If your body fat's low enough, then you can see your abs. It just depends if your sport. Sorry, let me just turn this phone on. It just depends whether you're like sport or whether you feel like you want to. Because a lot of people overtrain abs, you see. And by overtraining abs, quite often people have a poor posture. So you know, if people are doing sit-ups quite a lot, you notice that on their like if you look at my, if you look at me, you'll notice that they start to develop this like this hump on the back of the neck, like a poor posture thing, because they're
Yep.
constant, you know. Um,
Ah, that explains it.
yeah, so I've never really encouraged anyone to do like ab crunches or anything like that because I just feel like it interferes with your posture, A, and B, you know, if generally if you want to see your abs, if your body fat's low enough, um, if you're doing, you know, pull-ups or you know, other exercises that incorporate your full body, you don't really need to do them. You know, I mean, I don't know if you've seen pictures when I was in Singapore, but I rarely did any ab exercises yet that when my body fat was low enough, I could see not a six pack as such, but like a really good four pack with like the V taper at the bottom. So I don't know. And to answer the question about, you know, do we need to stretch the abs in order to make torso longer? I think you know we kind of do that when you're
Yeah,
perhaps
because when you do leg lifts, right, you train your bottom abs. So isn't that stopping it in a way? Do you know what I mean?
sorry leg locks,
Leg lifts.
leg
You-
lifts.
leg lifts.
Oh, leg lifts. Sorry, we said leg
Yeah.
lifts. I was like, what's that? Oh, leg lifts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so you'll be there, and then you'll lift your bottom legs like 90 degrees, right? If you were hanging or
Yeah.
something. Okay.
So then you'll be strengthening your rectal abdominals. So that would mean stretching your torso would be harder because your muscles are like more stronger there. Do you know what I mean?
Um. Hmm. I guess it comes under the same kind of thing. You know, it's you are working the muscle. I mean, that with those type of exercises, it's like you know, there's no disadvantage for your posture there because you're kind of like you're just moving your legs 90 degrees, aren't you? It's not interfering with like your actual posture at all because you're hanging. So if anything, it's probably good for your posture. But yeah, do you know it's an unusual question to be honest with you. It's not something I've really thought about. So do you do a lot of leg lifts?
Yeah, I do like a lot of leg lifts because do you know what a human flag is?
Human flag. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like where
Sorry, I
you
do know what it is. Yeah, I do know what it is. Yeah, where you go
yeah,
onto a bar and
so it's just to train for that.
okay, okay. And how long have you been doing the leg lifts for?
I've been doing it for probably my whole life.
Your whole life. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, I mean, you can't deny that in the last year you've grown, and it's been a month since you've last noticed any growth. And I'm guessing you're worried about something. Are you worried about something that's in your routine that perhaps is limiting your growth, or?
Like, I'm just wondering, like, how much weight is too much, like, that it's gonna, like, and like stop me from, reaching my full potential. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It's so hard to say because it's one of those things that you're always gonna have to decide yourself. But maybe the best way to try out is maybe just for a couple of sessions or maybe just a week. Maybe go really, really heavy on your exercises. See what you're capable of, like right now. See what you can push strength-wise. So let's say what you could push with 3 to 5 reps, and then do another workout whereby you do something that does 20 reps, and then just kind of gauge it like that. So you kind of work out what is the medium weight that you should be using. Because obviously, you could have like 100 kilos and you can only do 3 to 5 reps, so that's way too much. But then again, you can have 50 kilos where you can do 20 reps, which is light. So maybe you'll go to 75 and then you'll be able to do 8 to 12 reps, which is going to be your. But then again, I suppose another thing that you can think about is as you grow, you probably, you're having more protein and you're getting stronger, so that 75 might end up being 85 in a month's time. So, it's like the constant weight gain whereby you're just going to have to gauge it yourself. It's so hard for me to say personally, oh, you should be doing this, or you just need to listen to your body and listen to what you're capable of yourself.
Yep. And which foods would you say would be the best
Do you know
to
what I'm
increase
a really big fan of? Do you have many eggs?
Huh?
Do you have many eggs?
Yes.
You do have many. How many eggs do you have a day?
Probably 2.
2. Right.
Yeah.
Have more eggs. I'll tell you why. Because they've got all 22 amino acids in, and
But doesn't that also increase your cholesterol if you have too much of that?
that's what they thought. That's what they thought. But in a recent study, they actually found that whole cholesterol thing, by having more eggs, actually reduces your cholesterol. And feel free to type that in on Google, because I was always like that. I always thought, oh no, the yolk, and I purposely would take 1 yolk out of every 3 eggs out to make sure that my cholesterol was okay. But paradoxically, by having the yolks, it actually lowers your cholesterol now. So
Yeah, because I always thought the white part was the protein and the yellow part was the cholesterol.
no, it's got the yellow and the white both have the same amount of protein, but the yellow is like slightly more calorific. And yeah, I mean, I haven't read deeply into the study, but I remember when it came out, and we were all laughing because it's like, how can you've been saying for so many years that it's like it's going to give you cholesterol, and then suddenly you find out no, it doesn't. So. But then again, I suppose it's like with doctors, doctors who will say you've reached your maximum potential, that's it for you, and then you've got no hope, and then somebody else reaching a really high height and proving him wrong. It's just one of those things. That's why
So
I
how many?
believe, being self-taught and just listening to what other people have achieved, and doing what I've achieved. You can't always listen to what doctors or scientists will say.
So how many eggs would you say would be a good daily amount?
Well, I'm having, at the moment, me personally, I have 4 with my evening meal. So,
Is it 6 meals a day, or how many
no,
meals are you having?
I've changed my eating habits a little bit. I mean, I'm not going to be on like a growth swallow diet at the moment. I'm trying to like lose weight again and lean up, and so I'm
Okay, but
fasting.
in a growth diet, would you say 6 meals would be optimal, or 4 meals, or how many meals?
Depends on the individual. I'm being so vague with these questions, but no, it does depend. I know you said that you're having 6 meals, and I'd encourage you to carry on with that, especially when you can see results. But you will get people who are perhaps a little bit more overweight, and fasting can quite often help them more so than having like 6 meals, perhaps 4 meals within an 8-hour eating window. Just to help with their hormones as well. So I think you should carry on with your 6. But I definitely would say get more eggs in. You know, if you're having 6 meals a day, maybe even up to 6 to 8 eggs, depending. But yeah, definitely try eggs. Like I say, because they've got all branched acids in, so you should, you are basically giving your body the best protein it can have in order to grow. So.
Also with like protein shakes, like whey and amino acids and stuff like that, is that also good during this process of trying to grow taller, or is that going to counteract it?
Can you repeat the question? I didn't quite understand.
Yep. So like amino acids and protein shakes like whey isolate and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Will that have an effect on growing taller?
Well, protein shakes are just another way to take protein. So, like, if you if you're having enough protein with your food, you might not necessarily need protein shakes. You might not need them. I've just found that it's just a really fast way. I mean, there's this argument we'll have to make this the last question, by the way. But there's the argument as well that fasting won't help people gain muscle or grow, and there's people who say that you have to have protein shakes within an hour of working out, and they'll say that religiously, and they'll just say, it's like bodybuilders and stuff. They will like make sure that they have enough protein, but yeah, it's just another way to take protein. Don't see it as like anything different. It's just that some people have eggs, some people have nuts, some people have eggs, nuts, and protein. It's just however you want to take it. So it's not like if you don't have whey protein, you won't grow. That's a load of rubbish. You can grow off protein itself. So however form it comes, whatever form it comes in. So. And isolate, that's just a more of a refined protein. So if you've got like whey protein, basically with an isolate, they refine it even more. So let's say for me personally, I have 2 scoops of whey protein with an isolate generally because it's more condensed. You'll only perhaps have to have 1 scoop the same amount of protein because they've refined it that much that it's pretty much just pure protein. So don't worry too much about the isolate. You could just have 2 scoops of whey protein and have the same effect, if you know what I mean. But yes, I hope that answers the question, but we'll have to leave it there until 2 weeks' time. So, for everyone who hasn't had a chance to answer hasn't had a chance to ask a question, this was just a test, to be fair. I wasn't really going to go really in depth, but if you come back here in 2 weeks' time, we'll arrange a time and a date for everybody to come back. Yeah, we'll post the video online in case you missed anything. And that's it. Thanks for coming for the test. I think it's all working okay. So thank you guys. Appreciate it.